All right, welcome to the beginning of a project. Now, technically, you don't need to set up a project in Vegas. You can just open a blank screen, just start pulling your media in. But there are a number of reasons for thinking through your project before you get started and for setting up your project for a most effective and efficient workflow. The program will work much more efficiently. Your results will look much better. So I do encourage you to think a little bit about your project settings. I encourage you to set up your project based on what the bulk of your media is going to be. So in my particular case, I'm going to start up a new project. I'm going to be working with standard definition DV video widescreen. So it's fairly simple to set up a new project. And like I say, a lot of people just go with starting a new project just by clicking the empty project button here. I encourage you to go to the File menu and select New instead. This will give you an option screen for setting up and choosing your project. If you don't do it this way, there are other ways to do it too, and I'll show you those in just a moment. So our new project, in my particular case, I want to go with DV widescreen. Very, very simple. There's a preset for it, as there are for most of the standard video formats you'll be working with, all the way up from things like mini DV all the way up to some professional formats here. But in my particular case, I want to go with widescreen DV. It will automatically set a lot of these. By the way, while we're on this screen, there are a couple of preferences that are worth knowing about and worth setting. If you look about 2/3 of the way down, you'll see one, full resolution rendering quality. I recommend you set that to best. De-interlacing method. Interlacing has to do with the way frames are created in your video. Some camcorders use interlacing with the lower field first. Some use it with the upper field first. Some use no interlacing at all, some of the newer camcorders. And same with television. Some old televisions used interlacing. Some of the newer televisions do not. Because of all that mixture and because you may be mixing media, I encourage you to set your de-interlace method for interpolate fields. That way the program will take whatever interlaced media you put into your project and it will make it all the same, as close to the same as possible. You'll get much better results, particularly if you are mixing, say, high definition, standard resolution, AVCHD, and HDV. At the same time, this will kind of homogenize them, make them all very, very similar. All right, now we have a project set up, and when I bring in my media, which I'll grab from the exercise files here, just randomly grab a couple of media clips and add them to my project. My project is good to go. By the way, you often see this when you add a clip to your timeline. This is one of the helper features the program has. What it's essentially asking me is, do you want me to reset your project specs to match the clips you have just added to the timeline? And if that media clip represents a typical clip that you're adding to the program or that you're going to be using in your project, I recommend you do click yes for this. Now, I set up this project correctly for widescreen video. I'm not sure what I didn't set correctly or if the program is just being redundant. It doesn't matter. Nicely enough, I'll say, you got it right, program. I trust you on this, so I'll click yes. And now it will change my project settings. If I want to see what my project settings are, by the way, I can go over here to this button, Project Video Properties. I can click on that, and I can see my project settings. And you can see it is NTSC DV widescreen, just as I set it up before. But now I know for sure that the program has set up my project properties to match my media. There is one more trick I want to show you, and that is when you're not quite sure what your media is and what your media properties are, you can trust the program to do it. Here's a way to do it. I'm just going to remove this here from my timeline. When I start my new project on this option screen, I can set it up manually, or there's a very nice tool over here called Match Media Video Settings. That Match Media Video Settings will take a look at whatever clip I choose, and I'll just choose one like I'm going to use. Notice right now it's set up for HD 1080. That must be the default. But let's go out here to my media files. I'm just going to select one at random. This is a typical representation of the media I'm going to be using in my project. And I'll click Open. Look, it automatically matched it to that clip. I mean, isn't that nice? That's a real nice feature in the program. So now when I click OK, I can start building my project based on the media clip that I chose. It's very, very nice that the program does that. When you match your project properties to your media, you'll get the most efficient workflow in the program and you'll get the highest quality output. So think about selecting your project properties as an important step in a long journey, and choosing the right first step can take you a long way toward a successful, trouble-free journey.